I'm going to watch this because it's a follow-up to a video I've recently posted. You'll see it, and I'll link it at the end, about the disturbing logic of the left. And this is, again, from John Anderson's channel. I'll give you guys a look at it. Yeah. When the truth becomes right-wing, again, featuring Melanie Phillips, a respected British journalist, or respected by me and by many. I know who she is. And I want to follow up because I think this is going to be a follow-up to the disturbing logic of the left. I think it's going to be a bit more of a deeper dig, or an expansion of her thought process and her argument and her rationale. So, yeah. And again, as always, guys, I'm looking to educate myself, inform myself, because if you watch that video, you'll see what I'm struggling with. If you watch the other video, you'll see what I'm struggling with at the minute. And perhaps a lot of us are struggling with.
Has become a right-wing concept.
Oh, truth.
You cannot say it, because if you say it, you are considered right-wing, and to be right-wing is to be in league with the forces of evil.
Mm-hmm.
It is a Manichaean division between...
Okay, that's Manichaean, Mani. That's a third. It goes back hundreds of years. I briefly know a little bit about it. It's a religion formed in Persia, I think, as that was then Persia, that was based on the struggle between evil versus good, light versus dark, holy as a concept, us versus them. So she's going to lay out, well, we'll see what she lays out, but that's what Mani and Manichaeism is in principle. If I'm off, guys, let me know, but my brain tends to touch on it. It's really about the struggle between dark versus light, a cosmic struggle. So it was the big picture. It's got to lead into religion. It's got to, because she's brought it up straight away. Let's pull that back.
Truth has become a right-wing concept. You cannot say it, because if you say it, you are considered right-wing. And to be right-wing is to be in league with the forces of evil. It is a Manichaean division between ideologies of one kind or another,
Mm-hmm.
and those who don't subscribe to those ideologies.
Mm-hmm.
And the ideologies brook no dissent, because they represent, in the minds of people who promote them, they represent goodness, brotherhood of man.
And that's a follow-on from the other video, which, if you go and watch it, guys, is that disturbing logic of the left. You cannot oppose it, because to oppose their belief structure, regardless, if whatever you say, it brooks no dissent, is what she says. And that, when she correlates that with Manichaeism, she's right. Academically, she's right. It's rational, it's reasonable what she's saying to me. That something which says no matter what you bring to the table, you are wrong. You are, not only are you wrong, you're evil, you're right-wing, you're a Nazi, you're morally corrupt, you're everything that we want to hate about the world and everything we want to make better, but we're going to make it better on our own terms. There's no rationale, there's no argument, there's no dissenting voices, nothing. But she's putting on an absolute global scale when she lays out this way. Yeah. And I don't see, I can't argue against that, because it's playing out in front of our very eyes. However you want to frame it, you can't just say I'm right regardless. I mean, when you look at sort of binary opposition, guys, so that's a structuralist argument. Yeah, something like a table is a table because it's not a chair. That doesn't mean you can't say, like, yeah, that's not entirely true. It's true in principle, Alan, but, you know, a chair can be a sofa, etc., different variations, but the principle's true in a structuralist sense. This is bigger than that. This is not about oppositional thinking, binary opposition, which is it's not as complex, but this isn't a binary of right and left. It's good versus evil on a cosmic scale, as she's talking about it. And she's saying there is no ability to interpret the statement that you make from what they would call a right-wing evil perspective. They've just ruled that out and said you're wrong. Yeah, okay.
Progress, reason, education.
Oh.
And anyone who opposes them is against all good things. So they are not just wrong, They're not people to be argued with.
No.
They're people to be removed and silenced, because otherwise...
Huxley, Orwell, everybody, great writers, brilliant thinkers, Jung, they've all made arguments in and around this for us to digest and come away with a sense of understanding. And I'm trying to do that when I watch these videos, because I do struggle with the modern world that I live in, that I'm part of, that I help form. You know, as the billions of others, the 117 billion people that have existed since time began, got us to today. And if this is what you're saying, and I'm trying, and I'll be thinking about reasons to argue against it, that we're in a position where absolutely nothing anyone does is going to affect the logic of the left. And when it has power, you're going to suffer from that logic. And it has power. Around the world, the left has power.
You're against all good things. So it's that division between good and evil.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, you know, if you stand up against an ideology like, I don't know, so-called anti-racism, which basically says all white people are bad.
Critical theory.
Or critical theory. Or you stand up and say a woman is defined by...
Critical race theory. I don't want to talk about it. That's not what this is about.
By her biology. You're against transgender. So, as you...
It took a Supreme Court ruling in this country. We never used to have a Supreme Court, by the way. It's only been in existence since the early 2000s. We used to have a Lord Chancellor. I don't know if we need a Supreme Court. I don't know if that was a nod to America. I think it was Blair that did it.
You know, there's no discussion. You are cancelled. You are removed.
Yeah.
You have to be silenced. This dissent...
And this is, I think, a year, 6 months, a year later, that's not working anymore. Not in its truest sense. So now they've got to think of other ways to get you cancelled or to allow you not to emerge. You can't have emergent thinking if you remove the opportunity or the pathways into voices that are offering constructive criticism. So remove that. And that's where we are, where people feel we are in the current climate, especially in the UK. True or not? So I'm trying to work out, is my perception of what is the reality out there, does it have any value to me? Is it actually, is that existential threat, is it real? Is it being acted out?
Cannot be permitted.
No.
So we're in what a thinker of a previous age called cultural totalitarianism. No alternative is to be permitted. Now...
That's Norman Mailer. He wrote about that in America, didn't he? Yeah, I'm not familiar with it, but I know it's, in essence, I think it's more about when you have, like a hive mind, when you just have one way of thinking, and that's permitted, and it's allowed, and it's universal, then you have that sort of, you don't have to do anything because everyone on the ground is doing it for you. There needs to be no military intrusion, and there needs to be no political intrusion, because what you've introduced has been accepted by everybody. When you look at what's been happening the last 10 years and longer, this goes back to the 70s, guys. This whole shift in education and cultural totalitarianism. If you tell everybody that this culture that we're promoting is right and you're an absolute evil, horrible, horrific, far-right Nazi, and you get that accepted and people back down, then you've got cultural totalitarianism. And then you've got rule of law, you've got rule of everything. Any dissenting voice will be removed, and you can take from that what you will. When she says removed in my previous video, she explains it.
First of all, that is an assault on individual freedom.
Yeah.
Freedom of expression and freedom. But it's also a complete repudiation.
For my British friends, freedom of expression in America is their fundamental right. That's their First Amendment. It absolutely will not budge on that. It's not so strong in the UK at the moment. And you could argue it's been eroded. And you could present good arguments that it's been eroded. But that's not what this video is about. She's just laying out culturally what's happening and then twining it with theories and practice and real life events.
Of reason.
Yeah.
Because if you say there is nothing that you can say that can dissent from my ideology, and you say you're bringing evidence to oppose me, well, that cannot be the case. If you're denying...
That's that binary opposition I was talking about in principle. When I say table to table, because it's not a chair, someone says, yeah, but a chair can be a sofa. And I go, oh, yeah, sorry. The principle's right, but there's variations. She's saying there is no variation.
Evidence and reality and thinking and engagement with an idea, then you're denying reason itself.
Yeah.
And so the irony is that in an age of supposed reason, we're so rational that we've dispensed...
You could argue they're not trying to deny reason, they're trying to remove reason. They want to remove any opportunity you have to have a reasoned debate and argument against them by using the right-wing principle of you're a Nazi, you're a racist, you're a homophobe, you're a transphobe, you're everything under the sun except the reasonable voice offering a dissenting opinion.
Dispensed with religion. Only idiots have any kind of religious sense because it's not based on reason. That's the thinking. So we're so rational we've got rid of religion, and yet we are repudiating rationality completely. This is something that doesn't quite add up. So I would say that we are in a new age of unreason. That's what we're in. An age of unreason. That's what we've unleashed.
And I find it difficult to argue against it. I don't have to agree with everything. If she broke it down into subsections and said, about X, this is what's happening, maybe I'd have an opportunity to debate. I don't want to debate. I want to be informed, and what she's asking me to do is go away and look at it and think about it. The removal of religion, secular societies. And yet we still live with Judeo-Christian values. The law is founded on Judeo-Christian values in the West. But they want to erode that as well by cultural totalitarianism. That's what she's laying out here. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And it's an irony because we've done it under the aegis of being rational. But in getting rid of religion, we have...
Yeah, there is no God because it was the Big Bang, is one of them. You know, the counter-argument is, I'll give you your miracle if you give me mine. I'm not a great mind. But essentially, if you want to believe in the Big Bang, that nothing came from something, then give me mine. Argue against either. And the argument against religion has been pushed and pushed and pushed and pushed and pushed and pushed to the erosion of the values that religion gives you and the ability to reason, so that even if you say you're religious, you're without reason, is what she's saying. But their religion has got lots of reason in it. Yes, their religion's true. That's what's being said at the moment. But it's up to you guys to be informed, and I'll say this all the time, be informed, not enraged. Don't scream, don't get violent in your mind, because it just reduces your capacity to think. I'm saying that because it happens to me all the time. I want to do that, and I'll rage against the screen, and then I think back and go, I'm achieving nothing to make myself feel sick. Stop it, go away, listen to lots of different voices.
Unleashed an age of unreason, and what follows from that is the erosion of freedom to think, freedom to speak, freedom to act, and a complete confusion about...
Under the guise of, we're just making sure everybody's safe.
Where the limit should be drawn between what I want and what others need. Yeah. My duty to others and my wish to realize my own potential. Mm-hmm. In other words, it's I versus we.
Individuation.
And all those things. And the confusion is epic. But that's where we are. But again, we have no...
I don't think it's confusion from the left's perspective. It's a constructed state. That's what they want. They know what they're doing. Anyone who thinks they're stupid at the top level are absolutely naive. The people on the ground who are acting out this, maybe some of them are a bit tarded. But the top people aren't. You think they are. And the spokespeople, the mouthpieces for this, can come across as idiots. But the underlying principle is total control. And it's not uneducated. Don't think it is for 1 second.
Cultural leaders, religious, political, whatever, standing up saying this.
No.
And I'm sure, I mean, I may be naive, but I'm pretty sure that what I'm saying may not be thought about in these terms by many people, but I'm pretty sure that if enough leaders got up or if leaders got up and said this, it would start striking chords, because people, people...
Polarizing. Love him or hate him. Isn't that what America's doing right now? Under President Trump. You don't have to agree with everything he does, but you'll hear them criticising openly on mainstream TV the UK's current slip in the rankings. Jesus. The Magna Carta, the Western law passed around the world. And suddenly we're the people that are eroding that law. That, yes, on the backs of the Greeks, yes, on the backs of others, but a lot of the principles came out of England. Good and bad, you can argue that, but really solid structures like law and the freedom of the individual, the sovereign individual, the freedom from tyranny by the state. America took it to the next level, and they'll get credit to that, when they broke away from the UK because we were a monarchy. But now, something we helped form and push throughout the English-speaking Western civilized world, we're eroding ourselves because we don't seem to agree with the principles we had 1,000 years ago. Bizarre. But she's laying it out, and you can see she's struggling, and she's really emotional. She's really uncomfortable with the fact that she can't deny what's happening. Not deny. She can't believe she does believe it, but she doesn't want it to continue.
People need to live in a society which is civilized, which looks after the welfare of others rather than yourself. We all know this. We all know this. But we've kind of allowed ourselves collectively to ignore it and...
Yeah, we know this in the UK. We have a welfare state. Poverty is not illegal, by the way, but we have a welfare state. We have a poverty line. We have an amount of money which says if you go below this, you're in poverty. But poverty is not illegal, so you can be below that. It doesn't matter. It's just a line they drew in the sand. We have an NHS, failed, flawed, or whatever, and you go back to when it was first started. It was, when you go back to how it was formed, it was never meant to be for the rich. It was never meant to be open access. But I think it was the Conservatives at the time said you won't get it if you don't make it accessible to everyone. Yeah. In other words, it can't be for poor people. It has to be for all people. Okay. So the principle was skewed at the beginning. I don't know how it would be now. It wouldn't be the mess it is now for a lot of people. So yeah, we do have a welfare state. We do have a welfare West. We do have a desire that launches into capitalism. That's not what this is about. This is recognizing that, in general, the overarching principle of the West is welfare of others. Is she wrong? Am I wrong in thinking that? I don't think so. Give me a counter-argument, but not ideologically. Give me the facts. Give me the stats. And I'm sure there's plenty out there, but it's not... It's a complete disregard to the fact that the West was founded on that, the abolition of slavery, all of that, the civil rights, the North versus the South, the Union, the abolishment of slavery in America. All of those things have just been ignored because they never happened and if they did happen, according to the left, then it wasn't enough. We need to tear it all down.
Push it to one side.
Mm-hmm.
It requires leadership. We don't have it. That's the problem.
Very interesting. Again, as with my other videos, she's given me food for thought. She's brought into the frame things that were whirling around in my mind and allowed me to focus on them and say, okay, that's what I'm perceived to be happening. I can see examples of it that make it real. So therefore, I'm not raging anymore. It means I think it's wrong, but I'm not raging. I've been able to construct a thought process, to understand, to apply logic, and evaluation and critique and understanding. And trust me, guys, it's not just this particular argument. It's lots of things that I'll listen to, watch and read outside of sort of The Witcher and Lord of the Rings, which I love, and music, which I love. I have to live in the real world in terms of politics will affect me, the news will affect me, outside on the streets what happens will affect me. But I refused to get so angry that all I want to do is scream at everybody, which is what the left is. But it's not as naive as you think. It's not. Yeah, join in, guys, subscribe, comment, let me know what you think. Till next time.